guys are all having a beautiful day, night, wherever you guys may be in the world. And I hope that you guys are taking care of your energy as such, okay? Today is my mother's birthday, by the way. So happy birthday to my mother and shout out to her. Just wanted to make a quick shout out for her because she likes to watch my videos here and there and all that. But I don't know, she might not watch this one because I'm going to be making this an 18+ one. So oh yeah, I don't think she's going to be watching this one. An astrology energy update as always. As you know, I like to talk about the current astrology, what's going on as far as that goes in the world. And also I like to talk about animal totems, spirit animals to look out for, as well as numerology and angel numbers, okay? So Venus has been in retrograde. I have stated that for quite a bit, but it is now coming up on the date where August 3rd is when Venus is going to go out of retrograde. It has been in retrograde in the sign of Gemini, which is an air sign, by the way, which is why we're kind of depicted like the divine feminine energy within all of us, including the twin flame journey is specifically that I'm talking to us. We're kind of like in that vacation-like mode, taking time out for ourselves, as well as being more natural and one with nature in a way, kind of getting more in tune with ourselves. But one thing for sure that Gemini is that we're kind of in that Queen of Swords, King of Swords type of mode. So that's probably why it's been popping up quite often within readings lately, which is, you know, speaking our truth, the throat chakra and all of that, being able to stand our ground. I did state of boundaries within my previous video before and how important that was. Okay, and it's so funny because I'm wearing blue or light blue turquoise in order to help with the throat chakra currently. But as you know, Mercury just went out of shadow phase on July 26th, so we are no longer in Mercury retrograde, nor are we dealing with any of the shadow phase. However, it's so funny because it's like towards the end, that's when Spirit gave me a lot of shadow work. So right now I'm going through a big, massive like ego death at this current point in time. So don't mind me, like if my mood is like, yeah, I'm just going through a massive purge and ego death. And I mean, a lot of people are right now currently in this world. Everybody goes at different stages, etc. There's different waves to this, especially when it comes to the Great Awakening. But however, Venus is going to go direct, and what that means is that no longer is she going to go like backwards or orbit like in a certain way. She's going to go back into regular orbiting, which is basically I think she might either go into the sign of Cancer or Taurus. I could be wrong. It's either Taurus or Cancer is when she's going to go through, but I'm going to have to double check that one, okay? Overall, most signs, when I'm calling out certain signs or astrology signs when I'm talking about this is a general reading, so you got to take that in mind, that you take what resonates and throw the rest. Not all of this will apply. This is just overall like the types of channeling and updates that I've been getting from my spirit guides, my team, my ancestors, as well as my angels, giving me a little bit of current events of what's going on, okay? So when I do call out signs and when I do say divine masculine, divine feminine, I'm not referring to gender. I'm just referring to like what's in our chart as well as the energy within us, okay? So I've been feeling a lot of Gemini energy, Aquarius energy, Leo energy, Taurus, Virgo, Scorpio, and Pisces, okay? Those, predominantly those signs I've been feeling quite often as far as energy-wise. I think this probably has to do with, like, everything, like, we're still in retrograde season, guys, so we have to take that into account, okay? Mars won't go into retrograde until September, I believe, so Mars which is the divine masculine energy within us, just treading the lawn and everything like that. So eventually, it is said that Mars will eventually catch up to Venus, and that is when they will meet at the meeting point. Okay, so okay. Numerology that I've been seeing, I'm going to list out some of the numerology. I'll talk a little bit about some of the new ones that I've been seeing, but overall, I've always mentioned some of these and the importance of those, so go ahead and check out my previous videos if you guys are interested to know a little bit more about the meanings, etc. But for now, I'm just going to list them out, and if you feel guided to, and it's a specific number that you've been seeing in particular, then go ahead and look up online, on Google, or whatever it may be. There's also books as well. I also encourage people to read texts and like old books and stuff like that. So 777, 444, 343, 434, 411, 1111, 808, 1010, 1212, 1221, 1122, and 123. Okay? And by the way, I'm looking at my notes. By the way, I like to channel, like write down stuff to keep my notes intact. But So numerology can have like a basic meaning, but it can also have a significant meaning that's for you only, right? So say for instance, like 777 is more of an, or 707 is more of an important number to me, but it's a different meaning for myself versus like the actual generalized meaning, okay? So see what fits. 1221 in particular, I've been getting a lot of mirror numbers, 808, 1001. You know, those types of numbers are like mirroring. I'm seeing more of the masculine and the feminine energy are starting to mirror, kind of integrate and come into one. I did state of that like within previous videos. It was becoming a little bit more apparent, but now I feel like more that we're getting closer to August 8th, which is Lionsgate, the more that I'm feeling this amplified. So I feel like a lot of, I did mention a spiritual union as well as inner union. Union with the divine, yourself, as well as your counterparts. So also, not only we're doing inner union, I'm hearing more of physical unions happening in the world. So congratulations if that applies to you, etc. But I'm also seeing that a lot of some twins are meeting, because it depends on what part of the journey you're on right now. But there's this collective right now I'm pulling are meeting, so more in the dream state, in the 5D, coming into spiritual union, which is coming to union with thyself, which is balancing out the masculine and feminine energies within us, which is very quite important, okay? But right now I'm seeing more so like it starts off in the 5D and then it manifests itself into the physical plane, okay? So that's kind of what Spirit was trying to say, okay? But animals that I've been receiving are ladybugs, and ladybugs are a sign of good luck, which is kind of like that 777, like wealth, prosperity, as well as good luck signs. But yeah, ladybugs in particular, especially the divine feminine energy, I'm really picking up on divine feminine ascended masters coming through, especially with the red energy. But ladybugs can come in many different colors, but more so the red ladybug, the basic one that I've been seeing a lot lately, has been coming a lot. So a lot of divine feminine ascended masters helping out within the journey, okay? And what are divine feminine ascended masters, which is like that 333 energy, if you've been getting into that energy as well. We received some two feathers, one a white feather and a black feather. Oh, that's so nice. Now that I just realized this. Okay, it was for my mother's birthday, so technically I see it more as her gift from the spirit world today, but it was more so like a sign saying that the masculine and feminine are just coming together and they're integrating the white and black, which is the yin and yang. Divine feminine, like the ascended masters, are basically higher dimensional beings, those that are like on a very higher vibration, that are coming through, that helps orchestrate as well as work behind the scenes for these connections. That will include also like, you know, there's also angelic beings as well, because I'm feeling more so Archangel Michael coming through right now, especially if you're connecting with the numbers 444 or 911, okay? So I'm feeling more so of that energy. I've been seeing a lot of male deers, which are like bucks and stuff like that, like young bucks, as well as like what we call stags, etc. So a lot of antler like energy, okay, as well as beetles energy. So a lot of like black beetles, like ancient beetles, and it's more so like I feel like that's the magician type of energy, as well as like ancient comet, that type of thing. So I've been feeling a lot of like beetle energy, as well as being on a harder outer shell but a softer on the inside type of thing. So it's kind of like that Queen of Swords, King of setting firm boundaries, being tough on the outside, but also you're a sensitive person on the inside. So it's like making sure that you're true with your emotions, that you're feeling your emotions, that you're not masking your emotions by being a hardy on the outside. And I know we can kind of be that way, especially when your heart becomes a lot more thicker from past pain and disappointments. But Spirit is saying that all of that right now is still being addressed within retrograde season, especially with Neptune retrograde, which is dealing with illusion-based things, as well as mirror work. Neptune is also bringing up aspects that it's also Pluto. Pluto retrograde is bringing up aspects that we don't like. That is the ego death that I'm referring to, that I'm talking about, as well as the transformation stage, the phoenix energy, the butterfly energy. So right now Pluto's also releasing control, realizing that you're not always in control, and that if you do have control issues right now, that's being released, okay? It's also realizing that you cannot control this journey, that it is controlled by the divine, by spirit, by the creator, whoever you pray to. It is It's when they say so. It's when they orchestrated these types of unions to come together, okay? So it's more so releasing the control of when, what, how, why, maybe, so, you know, etc. It happens. What is meant for you is always meant for you, okay? So release control, release the burdens, as well as the need to know, as well, because I know that especially for the Divine Feminine Collective, I'm feeling more so in particular, has to release more illusion-based energy about either their counterpart or the more in particular, I feel like more so themselves. So the aspect of self-love is coming out very much so. So the whole buck energy, that also represents like like the masculine energy coming through, them growing their antlers into full, so coming into full bloom as well as maturity, okay? So I'm also feeling like competitive like energies, even though I know that competition is really an illusion. We're not competing against anyone other than ourselves, really, mainly. But I'm feeling more so like, that competitive nature within Mother Nature, essentially, when to kind of like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to make it so gender specific, but more so like with the males, etc., especially male deer, them going at it with their antlers and kind of like, so I'm feeling more so there's like a spiritual competitiveness going on, right? So it's like, I don't know if that's for the Divine Feminine. It's more so, because they keep showing me these Mother Nature like it's funny because they're like replaying this documentary of these animals that like to fight almost to the death in order to get to the Divine Feminine. Does that make sense? So it's like anything that is not true, your true counterpart or their so, are falling away, and more so being stripped away from your life in order for the real, the truth, the authentic to come in. Does that make sense? Not a competition more so on the outside, because that's more so an illusion. It's more so ego-based mentality to have. But however, I feel like this is more so a spiritual type thing, like spiritual warfare, but not quite. I can't pinpoint like what that means in particular. Getting a lot more dreams about animal totems as well. I've been seeing frogs. I did see a bunch of frogs in my dreams, and I guess that does tie into you kissing a bunch of false frogs that are not the real person, as well as I'm not saying who you're thinking about is like false or whatever, because one thing for sure that I want to make very clear, okay, and I see this is happening quite a lot within the community, etc. No one can tell you who your true counterpart is, or your twin flame. This is who I'm referring to, especially twin flames. No one, not even me, can tell you truly if this person is your true counterpart or not. The only way to really know is what I suggest, is to really go within, slow down, and actually ask your team of spirit guides, ask the universe, get confirmation from the actual source, okay? Don't go by, butterfly confirmation. Don't go by just what you're hearing, etc., what people are telling you. Make sure that you are also confirming with yourself, as well as your team of spirit guides or angels, because I don't want people to be like swayed or like taken advantage of in that way. Spirit said, make it very clear to them that you guys have to ask them, like show signs, like ask like, hey, can you show me this specific sign in order to tell me that this is my true counterpart, etc. You can ask for signs. That people also feel like at certain times that if they dealt with catalysts or people who were not truly that, the thing is that the divine will give you signs and synchronicities for even those that are not your true counterpart. So sometimes we get mixed up in our head thinking that these signs and synchronicities are for like your true counterpart, but really it's a sign that spirit is trying to say that this is not it, that this is just a karmic soulmate or someone that is just coming through to teach you a certain lesson, to catapult you into actual union, okay? So you have to use discernment. You have to really check in with your team of spirit guides. Make sure that you're communicating, and if you can't communicate, you don't feel comfortable communicating with your guides at that point, I wonder if I should do a video about how to build relationship with your guides or your ancestors. The thing is that me and my relationship is still growing, but we are quite close. Does that make sense? It's always growing, but it's like we're quite close, okay? But it's like a place of non-judgment. They'll literally give you the truth of non-judgment. If you are able to clear your mind, choose love, tap into the frequency of love, getting rid of fear of any sort, and just tuning out the distractions and being able to get your straight answer from source. Okay, so Spirit really wanted to let you guys know that for sure. That frogs, meaning like don't fall for the false or be I know us humans can be naive in that sort, but we learn from our mistakes and we apply them to the future. So don't get hard on yourself if you fell for the wrong thing or, you know, etc. But just know that they're lessons, and each lesson that you gather on this journey is going to help you towards this present moment as well as the future. So keep that in mind, okay? So be patient with yourself, all right? You're not meant to be perfect. Spirit's not expecting for perfectionism within this journey. I always state that. So just be yourself. Just be you. Be you. Just be yourself, okay? And that's okay. That's exactly what's been coming in through the dreams as far as frogs. Also, frogs represent getting rid of the clutter, being able to get rid of anything that was in the shadowy closets. Remember, we just got out of shadow phase, so we just cleared out that as far as like the throat chakra, the Mercury, you know, retrograde was more about the throat chakra communication, miscommunication, as well as like technology, advanced technology, yada yada. More so, the reason why I'm feeling that is because Archangel Michael does, I think, rule over Mercury, if I'm not correct. Okay, but the thing is that Gemini and Virgo is probably why I was feeling that energy, because Mercury does rule over those signs in particular. Okay, so that is, they want me to mention that as well, okay? Which is basically gaining the sword of truth, being able to speak your truth, as well as cutting out things, which is the frog energy, which is stuff that was stored within the space that needs to be cleared out. So if you've been holding on to certain something like anger, resentment, pain, any sort of victim-like mentality, because Pisces can teach you that. Like Pisces, when in an unbalanced state, or what Neptune can teach you is to get rid of the victim mentality, thinking that you're a victim to your certain circumstances. You're not. It's like the Eight of Swords energy, being like self-inflicted entrapment, being able to see past the illusions, as well as taking responsibility and accountability for your actions, your emotions, and your behaviors and your thoughts, etc. So basically, that is like life. It's like that notion of saying life is not happening to you, it's happening around you. So it's like, it's more so not reacting, but learning to respond is what Ralph Smart would say, right? So if you guys know Ralph Smart, everybody knows Ralph Smart, right? He says learn not to react, but learn to respond, etc. So think about that for a little quick. We're really quick to react when using emotions, when acting out of emotions or overthinking, etc. So a lot of the times when we react, that's usually when it's like it really calls for us to take dire need or action. But it's also knowing the discernment and knowing the balance between both, because responding is not reacting. It's not the same thing. It's learning to use assertive like behaviors, getting your point across, right? Assertively, without the need of hurting yourself or others, etc. So be responsive but not reactive. Symbols I've been seeing are sunflowers, lilies, roses, tulips, right? I always mention about those flowers. Go ahead and look those up for sure. But one thing that's been popping up the most is the desert rose, which is basically a crystal. I did not know that was actually a crystal, and it was actually closely related to the selenite family. So can also be connecting with selenite crystals as well. So this is the selenite right here that I have right here that I work with. It's also known as the moonstone, and also helps aid with the divine feminine energy. Okay, so all right, but the desert rose is basically a part of that, but I'm feeling more so this kind of ties into of the rose being able to grow through anything, through any adversity. So divine feminine, you are stronger than you guys give yourself credit for. It's about taking your power and knowing your strength as well. The desert can, like the desert that grew through the concrete, basically from Tupac, being able to grow through the cracks of the concrete, through the darkness, and being able to grow through any environment that the rose is put in. Okay, so it's very resilient. So right now they're showing me like the rose that's in the middle of a desert, and basically you would never expect for a rose to be in a desert, but really it's symbolic in a way. Okay, so divine feminines, that again, that ties into the divine feminine ascendant masters coming through, helping you to realize your worth. That's probably why I'm feeling a lot of solar plexus releases right now, which is getting rid of the fear in order to feel, because you know solar plexus is also about the self-worth thing. So if you don't feel worthy of love, you don't feel worthy of the good things in life that life has to offer, you don't feel worthy of anything good or anything that will benefit your health or etc., that means that your solar plexus might be off, etc., that there might be some imbalance within that or some blockages within that. So it's very important to clear that out. I'm seeing a white butterfly as well. So Okay, been seeing a lot of cottonwood, so cottonwood trees in particular. Unless the like locations have to do with cottonwood trees, right? I'm also seeing hawthorn, the hawthorn, which is a plant, all right? I'm also seeing that hawthorn. In herb wise, they're also showing lavender. So if you're getting a lot of anxiety or feeling a lot of anxiousness, or you need the feeling to calm down or soothe your mind and your thoughts, etc., or your energy, start using some lavender as well to help. Like you can either burn it or use it in aromatherapy or oils, etc., incense oil, all that. Okay, I've been getting a lot of, okay, with the crystals that I've been mentioning a lot of crystals. I've been connecting with crystals. If you guys are star seeds, like the crystal star seeds, I'm also mentioning that as well, if you know that, what I'm talking about, as well as, you know, the crystal kingdom. I don't talk about the crystal kingdom, but that is one thing in particular, but I'm going to mention a little bit more about the crystals because Lemuria, they're saying Lemuria. Turquoise, though, I'm getting into right now. This was a gift for me from my grandmother, and I got the set or whatever that was given to me from her. So I feel very grateful, very, very grateful to have this because this is exactly what I needed. It also helps aid with the heart chakra as well. I did not know, especially for opalite. But the turquoise, mainly, a lot of blue crystals are more so for the throat chakra. So anytime you wear blue crystals, especially around the throat, etc., that would help aid with communication. But there's also, I want to mention that turquoise is also associated with the same thing as a black tourmaline would. However, it also is a protection stone to help aid within communication as well as clear thoughts. It helps with also figuring out life purpose energy, which is why I was feeling that North Node energy from this previous reading that I did. So, yeah. And then the one crystal they are showing me right now is the Larimar. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's close. It's the stone of Atlantis basically. And I don't know why I'm connecting more with like blue crystals like lapis lazuli, blue celestite, sodalite, etc. A lot of third eye, throat chakra energy being advanced, but the Larimar stone is more so Atlantis. And the thing is that I've been connecting with Atlantis a lot more recently. Even the movie Atlantis, the old like movie Atlantis from Disney. I think Disney has it now, but if you guys know what I'm talking about, it's really underrated, kind of like Treasure Planet. There's some messages that you can learn from that in particular, especially the Princess of Atlantis, which was Kida. Okay. A lot of people say, a lot of starseeds, especially texts and stuff like that, it's also in the Akashic records. We all know that Atlantis was, you know, sunken, a butterfly, but it was also hidden, right? But at the same time, it's also associated with merfolk, but I don't think, it's the misconception of saying that merfolk was basically in Atlantis. I think that only happened after it sunk, but merfolk actually did venture into Atlantis and did work closely with the people there of Atlantis at the time, okay? And I'm talking about way back then when ancient Kemet was still around, okay? So, like, say for instance, the reason why I guess I've been connecting with Atlantis more so is because I know that's the starseed thing, but there's a certain lesson that we can learn from Atlantis that kind of applies to today with the advanced weaponry as well as the advanced technology. Now, I did mention of technology earlier, especially with Mercury, but there's something to do with the advanced technology scope right now as far as that goes. One thing for sure that we know that Atlantis, they got too big of a head, all right? Pretty much like, especially with misuse of the technology or the power that they had at the time. So it ended up creating destruction, if anything. But one thing for sure is that I feel like this kind of applies to today, about how the misuse of technology, etc., and the misuse of advanced technology, even like nuclear weapons, etc. All I know is that I remember that when I was doing past regression work, okay, say for instance, I did talk about this within long ago, like last year, and I had dreams more so about weather patterns, okay, because I also, Spirit likes to show me, it's very rare and few, but when it's necessary, Spirit will show me visions or dreams of like certain weather patterns or climate changes or climate, like natural disasters, etc. So I don't want to put fear-based energy into anybody right now or whatnot. I'm just talking about dreams that I've had since last year. And one thing for sure that when I was doing some work within that realm. I remember getting visions of me being in a city, but then more so being outwardly like in the water. And I remember I talked about me being in a boat and drowning, and like there was a huge tsunami wave that took over my body, that I just kind of relinquished all control and just knew that it was my time, etc. But then the dream ended. But then there was other dreams where I was standing near a certain window. It was like a bright window, okay? It was bright. It was kind of daytime, exactly like how this was. And I just remember opening the window and the curtains just like anybody regularly would, okay? But the dream was distorted, all right? It wasn't like I was in this actual place. I was somewhere else, but a different area. Opened it up, beautiful, seeing the city. It was like a city look or an outlook. And then all of a sudden I seen this huge white flash, like just white. It just went bright and white, and that was it. And it was just so fast, and I just remember feeling the most hottest heat ever that just took over my entire body, and it felt like my whole body was on fire just for a split second, just for a couple seconds basically, and then it stopped, like the pain stopped. All I know is that the minute I seen the flash, I just seen a bunch of debris come at me. So I feel like that was more like I was in the middle of a nuclear blast. And that was it. That was my time. I was gone by then. It was like I remember feeling the sensations of my whole body heating up to like probably I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how much my body can heat up. But it went so much to the point where I felt like I was boiling on the inside, and then it stopped, and then it went cold. I don't want to scare anybody, but I just want to talk about, like, basically I've been getting a lot of like, that's kind of similar to what happened to Atlantis in some sort, but more so I feel like there was some misuse. Something went wrong, all right? And this is not the first time that this has happened, that humanity has dealt with this. This is not the first time that certain beings have dealt with this, okay? Because, like, certain things like STARSEED, certain homes that I'm talking about, especially like Mintaka and stuff, they're not here right now today, right? However, they are still here technically, but you have to be able to tap into a certain dimension in order to see them, right? So say for instance like the 40, they're saying right now you can tap in and being able to like see Atlantis if you're able to consciously tap into different realms, like astral travel, as well as like being able, that's why Spirit keeps saying like is really encouraging to meditate and to get in really intact with the Akashic records, because there's certain knowledge and certain texts that you can pull from it and unlock if you are given permission to do so, okay? So, but I just, okay, and then one thing for sure, I want to stop talking about Atlantis, but the thing is like there's a lot of being able to not make the same mistakes, okay? Being able to learn from the past. Remember when I stated about being able to learn from the past and applying to the future? If we don't learn from the past, then we're doomed to repeat it again, okay? So the thing is like it's not okay to stay too much in the past. Sometimes we do so because that's human nature, especially if you were programmed to do so, or if more so your pain and all of that was a remember I said pain knows no time. You can have been hurt 10 years ago, 200 years ago, if you're that old of a soul, and yet that pain still feels like you're still dealing with it. Excuse me, I'm releasing it today. Ooh, a lot of fear. That actually hurt, and that actually hurt my heart too. Okay, so a lot of heart chakra pain, a lot of pain coming up to the surface, especially from ancestors, especially from past lives, especially from this lifetime, etc. All of that pain and all of that hurt and stuff like that, ancestral karma, is being transmuted into something else. So that's why a lot of light workers are coming through, especially rainbow children are coming through to transmute this energy into a more of love, into a loving energy to help raise the vibration of the planet, okay? Because the more that we stay in fear, the more that we stay low vibration, the more that we stay in that lower consciousness, etc., without being able to like grow in that aspect, the more that the earth's vibration will go like this, okay? So that's obviously what has been shown for years, many centuries, and it has been unbalanced as such. So right now it's going back into balance. So right now it feels like that 555 energy, feeling like chaos, but it comes with change. So conflict that comes with change. So it's very important, okay? Change is usually made when something else is like, it's being able to see change is not as a bad thing, but more so as a good thing, okay? Welcoming change, but for the right reasons. Healthy change, all right? Not for the wrong reasons. You guys have stayed for this whole time for the channeled visions as well as the totems. Kudos to you, all right? But peace to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and jump in the reading.